Two men meet me at the airport. "You are Henryk," one of them says. The car is outside. The cold air hits my face when we walk out of the airport. England is no colder than Poland at this time of year, but it feels different. I've always said that you could tell that you are in a different country because air is everywhere different. Suddenly I feel tired from the plane journey, and as one of the men, he calls himself TJ, he puts my luggage into the boot of the car. I feel a surge of homesickness for Poland, for Eva and Fabian. And I feel in my jacket pocket and pull out the picture, and there is Eva, and she is smiling, and she's holding our 4-year-old son, Fabian. That was happier times. It was before I lost my job and my life started to fall apart. It's not about financial implications, it's about a loss of masculinity. My father instilled in me that's a man's role to provide. Eva called it a stupid male proud. Eva and I would sit and listen to her as I drank our last meager savings on cheap vodka. Day after day, week after week, until she could take no longer. So today she left me. I begged her, I cried. "Don't take my boy, don't take my Fabian." I pleaded, but she already made up her mind. So the last time she left the flat, the same flat which was repossessed a month later, she turned to me at the door and I could see tears in her eyes, and Fabian held tightly to her chest, and she said, "Henryk, we need stability. We can't be a family until you sort yourself out. Prove you can be a good father to Fabian." So I trolled around the city for days trying to find job myself, but there was nothing. Anything that I could prove Eva that I could provide stability she needed. And once I was introduced to Boris, for a mutual friend. Boris is a good man, Boris will help you, and Boris asks me how I feel about working in the UK. So I shrug. There was nothing keep me in my country. And Boris says that there is a large supermarket and they're looking for drivers. It's well paid, airfare and accommodation provided, flexible contract, and you will be given a food, my friend says. It doesn't have to be forever, Henryk. You can send money to Eva. I'm sure it would help the situation between you both, and he was right. So, over a few drinks later, in a city bar, I shake his hand, and Boris says, "You won't regret it." These two men who picked me up from the English airport are less talkative than Boris. So I sit in the back of the car as we are driving away from the airport. "We will take you to your accommodation," TJ says, and he puts his foot on the accelerator. We arrive at a small house at the end of the terrace. I notice the curtains are closed in the windows, and TJ and the other guy, Hadi, take me inside. There is only one bedroom upstairs, there is no furniture, 2 mattresses lie on the floor, and another man sits on one of the mattresses. A thin blanket over him, he eyes me suspiciously. And TJ points one of the mattresses, "Yours." And the room smells damp, and I notice that there is no heating, but at least I don't have to pay for that room. And I asked TJ if I will start tomorrow a job at the supermarket. But it seems like he doesn't understand my broken English. And he says that tomorrow we set you up a bank account to pay your wages. And a second later, Hadi enters the room with 2 bowls plain cooked pasta, handing me one of them. Food, he says. The other guy takes the bowl and starts shoveling into his mouth by his hands. TJ says that tomorrow we will pick you up at 8 o'clock in the morning, as he and the other guy leave. And I hear that they lock the front door. So I sit in silence, eating the pasta. It's overcooked, it's tasteless. And I notice that my roommate has already eaten his. And I think about going and buying some food to the shop, but I have no money, and I remember that doors are locked, and I have no key. So I turn to my friend, and I say, "Hi, I'm Henryk." I say in Polish, offering a hand, but he doesn't respond. I can't work out his nationality, so I introduce myself again in English. But he turns from me and pulling a blanket over him. Within a minute, he's asleep. I must fall asleep. So I dream of Eva, Fabian. And suddenly I'm woken with the sounds of shouts from the downstairs. "Hurry up," someone is yelling. And my roommate stumbles around in the dark, pulling on trousers and t-shirts. I look at my watch, it's just after 5 o'clock in the morning. He curses in his own language, I think Hungarian. "I'm coming," he's shouting downstairs, and a second later, he's gone. I can't get back to sleep, so I lie on the uncomfortable mattress and wondering what the day will bring. 7:30 I get up, go to the bathroom. Hot water taps doesn't work, so I splash my face with cold water. I get dressed. TJ arrives at 8 o'clock. He is by himself, and he drives me to the bank. Inside the bank, he speaks to a woman. She works there. We are led into a small room. Another bank worker arrives and shakes hands with me and the TJ. And I struggle to understand everything what he's saying. And TJ speaks to him. I can't understand much of what he says to him. The bank worker tries talking to me at times, but he addresses a lot of what he says to TJ. I've been asked to bring my ID and passport, so I show it to the bank worker. He prints out some forms, and I'm shown where to sign. So it seems now I have a bank account, and my wages can be paid into it. I'm grateful that TJ is there. And in car, TJ takes my passport and ID. He says that I will keep this safe for you. An hour later, we arrive in some kind of a small construction site, and I'm confused. Why am I here? And TJ turns to me and says, "Work, labor." So I say that I was promised a job driving lorries for a supermarket chain. I have no laboring experience. You will learn, he says. It's not a rocket science. So I get angry. And I say that that was not the deal. And TJ starts yelling at me. That I owe them. Airfare, accommodation, transport, food. We are not a charity, he says. We will take it out of your wages. Okay, so I begin to say that Boris said, and then TJ is laughing. So I know that I feel very lonely now. He has got my passport, my ID. I don't know even exactly where I'm living. How do I know I'm working here illegally? I can hardly go to authority and ask. And TJ points one of the men and says, Dave will tell you what he wants you to do. Every morning at 5 o'clock, I am picked up in a van. My roommate is also picked up, and we are taken to the building site, work there until 9 o'clock at night, before being taken back to the house and given pasta to eat. My friend still speaks to me less, but now I know his name is Henryk. I hear one of the men called Dave shouts his name on the site. There are a few laborers on the site. We build houses. I carry materials on the site. And each day I grow less optimistic that job supermarket will happen. It is never mentioned. And I never seen any wages. Once, when I was wheeling a timber on a large barrow, I hear shouting coming inside the half-constructed building. I linger outside and I hear TJ is yelling, "Hey, you, get back to the work before I break your legs." And seconds later, Henryk emerges. He's shaken. I can see tears in his eyes. He scolds at me as he passes. One day, I return home to the house. I'm hungry. It's been a busy day at job. TJ is there. He's speaking on his phone. When he has finished, I ask him if I can use his phone. It's been 4 weeks. I want to speak to my son in Poland. But he ignores me. I'm not giving up. And I say that I'm exhausted and hungry. And he starts to leave, but I block his way. I can't live with pasta, I say. I'm starving. Really. Literally. I'm cold. There is no heating inside. I haven't had any day's rest since I arrived, and I don't see any wages. TJ is angry. He yells at me about the debt I owe. And he says, just remember, we know where your wife and boy live. I stare at him. I don't know whether he's speaking the truth, but I don't want to take a risk. And suddenly, I realize that this man might be capable of anything. I'm on the construction site. I'm not concentrating. I'm totally exhausted. I'm wheeling a large barrow full of bricks, as has been requested. And I hear someone says, "Hurry up, Henryk." So I begin to stack the bricks, but my fingers slip and one of the bricks drops onto my foot, so I cry out in panic. David hears that, runs over, and he says, "Idiot." And the pain it's excruciating, it's welling up. And Dave takes out the phone, ring the TJ. Shortly afterwards, TJ arrives and glares at me. He and Dave talk between themselves, and Dave asks me, "Can I walk?" Yes, I shake my head. And Dave says that we have to take him to A&D, check if it's not broken. TJ is furious, but he helps me to the car, and when we reach the hospital, I am seen by a doctor, and doctor asks how it happened. TJ speaks for me. And I hear that TJ telling to the doctor that I don't know English, I don't speak English. So my foot is X-rayed. They won't let TJ accompany me And luckily, X-ray shows it's not broken, although it's badly bruised. So TJ takes me back home. Of course, I hear the door unlocked. And later in the evening, Eric is brought back. And he asks me in his broken English how my foot is. And I say that I can't stay here any longer. I've got to leave. And Eric is laughing. Where will you go? You have no money. You have no ID. You have no passport. Nothing. Henryk, we are both trapped.